All right, so to get this governor off, I don't know if you could see in that beginning portion of the video because that was all in fast forward, but you have to go through and take all these arms off, take this spring off, and this thing here, there'll be a 10mm nut on there. Get all that out of your way. That's the same as like on the Predator 212s and all the rest of them. Get that out of your way. You will be reusing a couple of these rods whenever you do your throttle and all that stuff when you hook that back up, but just keep those, set them to the side. But you'll be left with this one rod right here. And what I do is I just left that clip in there, and you can leave this shaft in here. And then the best way to cut this without getting a bunch of shavings inside of the engine is just use a set of bolt cutters. Just cut that off. Be real careful so that you don't crack your casing when you do it. But that's the best way to do that without having to clean the inside of the motor all out. I've tapped these before and put bolts in them. I've even filled them full of epoxy before, and they've been just fine. But this is the easiest way to do it. And then the next thing you're going to have to do is, you can see this thing here is in a million pieces. So this is normally on this little shaft right here. You got to get that off. That's actually the governor there. Don't take this off. This stays in. But I just take a pair of wire cutters, start cutting at it, start breaking chunks off of it until you can get down to this little clip right here. So there's a little clip that sits down in here. This is what's left of it. And it sits in this groove right here, and that's what holds that on there. But what I do is I usually just get a flathead screwdriver. Let's say if this is still on here, I just get a flathead screwdriver and I come in like this and just smack it a couple times to where it'll get down in between that clip. It'll basically destroy that clip is what it'll do, and then you can bend it up out of the way and slide this thing off. But that's what's left of it. And then this washer right here will be underneath all that. That'll be down in there like that. So you want to make sure that you get that washer off. Otherwise that'll fall off and it'll be rattling around down inside of the engine. You can leave this here or you can cut it off. It don't matter. If you do cut it off, I do the same thing as before. Just cut it off with a pair of bolt cutters. The ones that I use are just these little small ones from Harbor Freight. I think I gave like 12 bucks for these. These are the 18-inch. Item 60683. And they work great. I've cut padlocks off with those also. But anyways, that's it. If you're careful when you take this cover off, you can reuse this gasket. I just used this small little hammer right here. It's like a plastic faced hammer, just to smack around the edges of this cover right here to get this thing off. And then it just pulls straight off. Make sure you set this thing on its back, because this stuff here will fall out on the floor if you're not careful. But anyways, that's it. Clean this gasket up, put this thing back on. There was a little O-ring. It just sits right there. Little orange O-ring. And that's pretty much it. You got an oil sensor. Let's see here. Okay, the oil sensor is over here. You can actually leave it there, just unplug it if you don't want to use that anymore. But that's going to be it. Bolt her back up.